Welcome to today's Watch One video. These are some striking images that show the impact of the coronavirus on the world. We hope you enjoy. A term few people outside of the healthcare industry heard before the crisis, N95, has become one almost everyone around the world now knows. N95 masks are robust disposable masks capable of stopping the spread of Covid-19 and many other airborne pathogens, which is one of the reasons they quickly became necessary for the world's healthcare workers. Unfortunately, they became harder and harder to find as the virus spread, which is why so many doctors and nurses found themselves having to reuse them for much longer than they normally would have. Supply issues aside, N95 masks work well because they sit snugly on the face, and aren't the most comfortable things to wear for extended periods of time. Throughout the month of March, people began sharing photos of what they looked like after working for hours and days while wearing the masks. Faces bruised around the eyes and mouth became a common sight as more and more healthcare workers joined in with their own shots. The photos don't just show bruised and tired people, they show the men and women working on the front lines to combat the disease, many of whom worked for long 12, 18, and 24-hour shifts. During a pandemic where governments are telling all of their citizens to self-isolate themselves in their homes, it quickly became apparent that there was a sizable population that couldn't follow that guidance. The homeless are at greater risk of catching the disease, but that's not solely the result of their having to sleep outside, it's mostly due to their close proximity with one another. Whether they are on the streets or in shelters, homeless people often find themselves stacked closely with one another, and that makes them susceptible to Covid-19, and it also makes it more likely that they will infect others. Exponential infection is one of the greatest concerns where Covid-19 is concerned, and in cities like Las Vegas, the way the city has had to deal with it made international news. Shelters were forced to close amidst the crisis, leaving as many as 500 on the streets. The city painted grids on the upper parking lot of the Cashman Center, with each box being meant as a place for one person each to sleep. Unfortunately, all good intentions being what they are, people online pointed out that the squares were too close together, negating the need for social distancing, which further spread the image to others as it became viral. One scene nobody wants to be reminded of when thinking back on this crisis years from now is any that shows the toll the virus has taken on the people. Some of the hardest hit cities quickly learned that there wasn't just going to be a lack of hospital beds for the sick, there was also going to be a burden on morgues, coroners, and morticians. Everyone was so focused on the need for ventilators and hospital beds, few thought of what to do when the bodies began piling up. Fortunately, there were some who planned ahead, and that brings us to the picture featured here. This shot shows bodies being loaded into refrigerated trucks outside a New York City hospital. NYC was one of the hardest hit American cities in the early days of the crisis, and its hospitals quickly reached capacity on a number of services, which include the storage of the dead. The Brooklyn Hospital is one of many that have turned to such measures to store bodies, and the city has many. By April 8, more than 4,000 people died in New York City alone. Thanks for watching today's Watch One video. We hope you are keeping safe during these unprecedented times. Don't forget to like and subscribe.